Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, during the debate on Iraq yesterday, we heard many times from some of our Democratic colleagues that they had no intention of defunding our troops in Iraq. Some even expressed outrage and indignation that when some of our Republican members made mention of their plans for defunding the troops. However, defunding plans clearly demonstrate their policy is to withdraw from the global war against Islamic militant extremists by surrendering to the enemy in Iraq. We are faced with two options in Iraq, Mr. Speaker, to move forward or to retreat. Some of my Democrat colleagues appear to be united in opposing any effort to adopt a more vigorous strategy in Iraq and instead are ready to retreat. This resolution is but the first step in that direction. Despite denials, the evidence is that the effort to cut the funding of our troops in Iraq and in turn for all of our efforts there is well underway. Several bills have already been introduced by Democrat members to compel a withdrawal. Let me read the titles and the provisions. H.R. 508, to require the United States military disengagement from Iraq, which mandates a withdrawal of U.S. forces within 6 months of the enactment of this act, and which cuts off funding for any deployment or continued deployment of forces in Iraq. Let me emphasize that again. It cuts off funding for any deployment, not just an increase, not just sending reinforcements, but for any deployment of U.S. forces in Iraq, including those already there. And it even limits the number of embassy personnel. Also, H.R. 438, to prohibit an increase in the escalation of the number of members of the United States Armed Forces in Iraq, which states that funds appropriated or otherwise made available to the Department of Defense under any provision of law may not be obligated or expended to increase the number of members of the United States Armed Forces serving in Iraq. H.R. 746, to provide for the safe and orderly withdrawal of United States military forces and the Department of Defense contractors from Iraq, which mandates the beginning of the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Iraq within 30 days of the enactment of this act and complete the withdrawal no later than 180 days later. It also prohibits funds to increase the number of armed forces serving in Iraq or to extend the deployment of those already there. Or House J Resolution 18, to redeploy U.S. forces from Iraq, which states that the deployment of United States forces in Iraq by the direction of Congress is hereby terminated, and the forces involved are to be redeployed at the earliest practical date. When we are offered a proposal to prohibit the cutting off of funds for our troops, that's what we wanted to do on our side of the aisle, a proposal to prohibit cutting off of funding of our troops in harm's way. The Democratic leadership blocked it from coming to the floor. Why? Well, based on the bills that I just mentioned, the only explanation I would think is that they feared that their caucus would indeed vote to cut off funding for our troops and leave them to face the enemy without the necessary resources. So within this context, they offer this non-binding resolution which the Democratic leadership claims to support the troops. But how can such a claim be credible? Because in the second paragraph of the resolution, it opposes sending the reinforcements that our troops in Iraq need to confront the enemy. Our commanders in the field say they need the reinforcements in order to address the security situation in Iraq. My stepson, Douglas Leitnan, and my daughter-in-law, Lindsay, they served in Iraq as Marine officers. Lindsay will soon serve in just a few weeks in Afghanistan. They understand the difference between saying we support our troops, but we don't support your mission. It is the mission that matters. Some of our colleagues seek to deny our troops that level of support, that level of backup, which could be the difference for Dougie, for Lindsay, for so many others, between death and survival. This resolution seeks to substitute the assessment of the military commanders with the views of lawmakers. We claim to know more than the commanders. Rather than focusing on the strategic policy issue, the Democratic leadership has drafted a resolution that undermines tactical military matters and seeks to override the decisions of our military commanders and the position articulated by General Petraeus. They do not want to discuss the grave consequences of withdrawal and surrender. They do not want to discuss the nature of the enemy, the Islamist, militant extremists who seek to destroy us, who, like vultures, descend on us to prey on our weakness. Some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle seek to focus on the abstract rather than on the reality. They believe that security will come from withdrawal and